In this video, we're going to go over 99 to 07 Classic GM Gen 3 idle speed and idle timing. We're using a stock 2002 Tahoe 5.3 file here. And the first thing you're going to do is open the file, go to engine, idle, and then under base set point, this is your base idle speed. And you can see there's in gear with AC off, in gear with AC on, park neutral AC off, and then park neutral AC on. And so on a stock 5.3, a lot of times I like to bring this up to 625. They just idle a little bit smoother. And then you have cold protection, which this is actually an idle adder. Basically, it adds this amount of RPM to what your base is. So if you like a high RPM start where idles up to 1200, then idles down to your base idle speed, this is a table that you would use for that. And you can see factory at 176-degree coolant temperature, it adds 250 RPM to our now 625. So if you want a little bit higher RPM on the start, you can do that. That's all preference pretty much. For rolling, you have the rolling moving idle. This is really not used on automatics very often. This would be more used on a manual car. You have RPM offset for startup. This table is also added to it. So when you are making changes, make sure you're accounting for this table, RPM offset, and cold protection. So you can add RPM either way if you want a higher RPM on a start. It's going to be cold start. This is going to be all the time. Technically, they both can be cold start, but factory, that's the way it is. So now we can go over to Spark, and you have two tables that control your idle timing. You have in drive and in park. And you can see here we have cylinder air mass by RPM. So factory idle, it has 18 degrees of timing. With a big cam, a lot of times 22 degrees of timing here is sufficient. And you can actually mess around with this a little bit and smooth out the idle, clean up the feeling a little bit using timing. So this is the main table you're going to work with. And then you have your adaptive spark control for idle, which is going to be when there's too much RPM, it's going to pull timing. And this is how much RPM is over the limit or the desired idle. So at 12.5 RPM over 625, it's going to pull 1.5 degrees of timing. And essentially, the underspeed is going to add time back in. So if the idle speed drops too far, we'll say 12.5, then it's going to add 3 degrees of timing back to try to keep it at 625. So that is that for idle and spark timing at idle. And then there's cat heating stuff. Don't really have to mess with this if you still have the cats on the vehicle. Otherwise, this can be zeroed out. Thanks for watching.